个好人是什么感受？便是觉着这世间无一不好，无一不善内心，坦坦荡荡，无所愧疚，生来欢喜，死亦无愧。
So the Ministry of National Development has replied to my letter. To recap, I had highlighted that the blocks of flats were crammed into tiny plots of land with an unhealthy lack of green open spaces in Sembawang West, and that this was a problem with the psychological health of residents. Well, the ministry's reply contained many words, but it said absolutely nothing about my concerns. It merely pointed out that there are nearby parks, and the reply was peppered with motherhood statements. Now, let's not have a long-drawn you say, I say exercise. Let me just present some irrefutable facts to demonstrate my point. The mental health problem in Singapore is in a crisis situation. Not my word, but the word used by mental health experts in their reports. Worsening mental health crisis may now cost Singapore almost $16 billion a year. The youth mental health crisis and the subjectification of well-being in Singapore schools, NUS. Care groups see spike in mental health crises in Singapore. Youth mental health and impending growing crisis. How big is the problem? An international mental health organization called Ipsos reported that Singaporeans deem mental health as the biggest health problem. Business Times ran this headline: "The epidemic of stress plaguing Singaporean workers." Now, study after study show that open green spaces are vital for sound mental health. Yet the PAP chooses to indulge in empty talk, blowing off the matter by flippantly saying, "We have always designed our towns and estates with a variety of green and community spaces to create a pleasant and vibrant living environment for residents." If this is the case, then why is the mental health now in a crisis mode and worker stress an epidemic? Now, I also wrote to Mr. Ong Ye Kung's Town Council at Sembawang GRC and the Neighborhood Galaxy Community Club for a space to discuss the problem with residents and present the SDP's proposal to remedy it. Both applications were turned down, surprise, surprise. And the reason? The Town Council said that it does not permit political activities to be conducted in common spaces of our community. Really? And what do you call this then? Or this? Or this? What is the PAP afraid of? That the residents in Sembawang West might like my ideas? But isn't this the point about elections? For voters to thoroughly understand both parties' proposals rather than listening to only one side? Is it afraid of fair competition of ideas? If my ideas of creating more space and adequate green open space for Sembawang West residents are not good, the residents can tell me that directly. Either way, I'm happy to let Sembawang West residents be the judge. To do this, however, they must be able to hear what I have to say. And to this end, I repeat my application to the Sembawang Town Council and/or the Galaxy Community Club to allow me space on 12 April from 3 to 5 p.m. for a town hall with the residents. Now, returning to the Ministry of National Development, I'd like to invite Minister Desmond Lee to take a walk with me among the blocks at Sembawang West and hear from the residents living there, and then tell me if he still believes that the blocks crammed together helps the psychological health of the residents. Also, tell me that it is justified for him and his cabinet colleagues to live in huge houses far removed from these packed estates. Someone like Minister Shanmugam and his family live in a wooded, good-class bungalow with an expanse of 23,000 square meters, while more than 100 households share a plot of 1,500 square meters. In a similar vein, how do you justify the Prime Minister paying himself $180,000 a month, while many of our workers still earn less than $1,500 a month? This in the most expensive city in the world. And many of these folks are homeless and survive on one meal a day. And sometimes they don't eat at all. Now, this is what's wrong with Singapore today. We have a bunch of ministers who, unlike the founding generation of ministers, seem to be quite contented in helping themselves rather than think about the well-being of the people they govern. I've always sought to reason with you, my fellow Singaporeans, to persuade you with facts and logic, not empty rhetoric. I've also shown you how those who govern us and make policies to cram us into tiny plots of land live like Maharajas. When a country's leaders plan one thing for the people and another for themselves, when they live lives so detached from the reality of the common people, when they raise our cost of living and then try to placate us with vouchers, you know that the country is in trouble. We have an opportunity to rectify this in this general elections. And we can only do this with you, my fellow Singaporeans. Help my teammates and I get into Parliament. I have spent literally every day at Sembawang West in the last couple of weeks since I announced my candidacy there, visiting residents at home, meeting you when you return after a long day at work at the MRT, and also at kopitiams. After they took away Bukit Batok from me, I've had to compress everything I did in Bukit Batok for nearly a decade into 2 months in Sembawang West. But no matter how high they make the mountain, I will climb it. They still haven't figured out that they cannot defeat the spirit of democracy. But I can only do this with your help. You can support us in 3 ways. 1, donate to my campaign by registering for my fundraising buffet at Orange and Teal. Go to orangeandteal.sg, book your seats for $100 per person between now and 9th April. WhatsApp us if the sessions you wish to attend are full. I'll leave the details in the description box below. 2, volunteer as SDP Changemakers. You can do this at yoursdp.org and tap the volunteer button. 3, help me share this video among your friends and neighbors. And this is not just SDP's campaign, it is the people's campaign, your campaign. I've been at this for more than 30 years, and I do it all over in a heartbeat if I have to. Why? Because Singapore is worth fighting for.